Commander Jason sat alone in the control room of the research vessel Elysium, staring at the endless black of space. The stars twinkled coldly, distant and unreachable. Months had passed since he had seen another human face, since he had felt the warmth of someone who understood him. Every day felt the same: cold meals, silent corridors, and the mechanical hum of the ship that became both friend and enemy. He rubbed his eyes and sighed. No matter how advanced the ship's AI was, it could never replace the comfort of another soul, another voice, another heartbeat to remind him that he existed. He wandered through the empty halls, running his hands along the smooth metal walls, wishing for even the tiniest sign of life. The research mission had brought him to this isolated corner of the galaxy, to study uncharted planets and cosmic anomalies. But now, sitting alone in the captain's chair, he realized that the greatest discovery he craved was not a strange new world, it was someone to share it with. He stared at the monitors, showing distant planets and uninhabited moons, but none of them seemed alive. The beauty of space now felt empty, almost mocking. The AI, a soft female voice named Clara, broke the silence. "Commander, sensors are detecting a signal from a nearby planet. Unknown origin. Unregistered life signs present." Jason's pulse quickened. A flicker of hope ignited inside him, fragile but bright. He leaned closer to the screen, his tired eyes scanning the data. The planet was small, covered in strange green vegetation that glowed faintly, even from space. There were signs of structures, perhaps natural formations, perhaps something intelligent. His mind raced. Could this be the first living being he had encountered in months? Could this finally end the crushing loneliness that had become his constant companion? Without hesitation, he prepared a landing pod and suited up. The cold of space brushed against him as he descended toward the planet, his heart beating faster than it had in months. The pod shook gently as it entered the atmosphere, and Jason peered through the glass at the alien world below. Forests glimmered with faint bioluminescence, rivers reflected a sky painted in shades of violet and orange, and the air seemed almost alive with energy. For a man who had felt nothing but emptiness, the planet's beauty was overwhelming. When the pod landed with a soft thud, Jason stepped out slowly, his boots pressing into soft moss-like soil. He expected silence. He expected emptiness. Instead, he felt a presence, a warmth, a life that was not his own, surrounding him like a gentle embrace. His breath caught in his throat, and then he saw her. She stood at the edge of a glowing clearing, her skin shimmering faintly under the twin suns. Her eyes, a deep, mesmerizing violet, studied him curiously, and her smile was soft, inviting, innocent yet full of energy. She moved gracefully, almost floating over the mossy ground. And Jason felt a strange ache in his chest, a mix of longing, fear, and awe. "I am Lyra," she said in a voice that was musical, soft, and oddly comforting. Jason stared, stunned, as his translator confirmed her words in clear English. "I have been waiting for someone to find me." Jason's lips parted, but no words came. The loneliness he had carried for months, the emptiness that gnawed at him in every quiet moment aboard Elysium, melted slightly in her presence. He realized with a strange mix of disbelief and hope that he was not alone anymore. Not really. The stars above seemed less distant. The cold of space felt softer. And for the first time in months, Jason felt alive again. Jason could hardly believe his eyes as Lyra stepped closer. Her movements were fluid, graceful, almost like the wind weaving through the glowing trees around them. She tilted her head slightly, her violet eyes studying him with curiosity, fascination, and a hint of playfulness. Jason felt his chest tighten. He had faced countless dangers in the cold void of space, but nothing had prepared him for the raw, magnetic pull of her presence. "I have been alone for a long time," she said softly, her voice like a gentle melody in the quiet forest. "It is rare to see another being here. Someone who breathes and thinks like you." Jason swallowed hard. He had expected strange creatures, perhaps some form of alien wildlife, but not a being like her. She was intelligent, aware, alive in ways that seemed to shimmer around her, almost visible in the air like tiny sparks of energy. Her gaze held him, calm but insistent, like she could see into the depths of his loneliness and understand it better than anyone ever had. I am Jason," he managed to say, his voice sounding hollow even to him. "I come from a planet called Earth. I am a human." Lyra's smile widened. "A human," she repeated, testing the word. "I have heard of humans in stories carried by the stars. You are not like the others I imagined." She stepped closer, and Jason noticed the faint pulse of warmth radiating from her skin. It was a simple thing, but it made his heart ache with longing. She was alive, vibrant, full of energy that he had almost forgotten existed. Days passed quickly on the alien world. Jason and Lyra explored forests that glowed under her guidance, their paths lit by luminescent plants and streams that sang softly as they flowed. Lyra showed him flowers that moved when touched and vines that hummed with life. She laughed when Jason stumbled over roots, a sound that was bright and clear, unlike anything he had heard in months. Jason realized that he hadn't smiled like this in a long time. She asked him about Earth, about humans, and about his life among the stars. He told her about rain, about the taste of food, about the sound of music, and she listened with wide violet eyes, soaking in every word as though it were precious. And Jason found himself sharing things he had never shared with anyone else: dreams, fears, small hopes he had tucked away during his long solitude. Lyra would tilt her head, laugh softly, or reach out a hand to touch his arm. Small gestures that carried enormous weight. There was innocence in her curiosity, but also an undeniable energy, an intensity that seemed to radiate from her very being. Jason felt drawn to her in ways that went beyond loneliness. He was fascinated by her mind, enchanted by her body, and moved deeply by her soul. One evening, as twin moons rose in the sky, painting the forest in shades of silver and violet, Jason caught himself staring at her longer than usual. Lyra noticed and smiled knowingly. "You look at me differently than before," she said softly. "Do you feel it too?" Jason's throat tightened. I don't know how to explain it," he admitted, feeling suddenly vulnerable. "I've been alone for so long. And then you appeared. You're beautiful. And alive in a way I didn't know I was missing." Her hand brushed his gently, and a shiver ran through him. "And you are human," she whispered. "You carry warmth, strength, and a heart that reaches for connection. That is rare. That is precious." For the first time in months, Jason felt a spark of hope, of longing, of something that went deeper than curiosity or survival. He realized that loneliness was no longer just an emptiness. It was a bridge, a path that had led him straight to her. The stars above seemed closer now, the silence less cruel. For the first time, Jason understood that he had not just discovered a planet or a life form, he had discovered a soul. And that soul was looking back at him with eyes full of wonder, energy, and something more, something he didn't yet have a name for, but already knew he wanted. Days blurred into nights on the alien world. Yet Jason did not feel the passing of time. With Lyra by his side, every moment was vivid, alive, and full of emotion. They wandered through forests that shimmered in colors he had no names for, and she laughed at his clumsy attempts to navigate the glowing plants. Her laughter was like music, and each note resonated deep inside him, stirring feelings he had long thought dormant. Jason found himself sharing stories of Earth in a way he had never shared with anyone else. He told her about the rain, how it soaked the skin and washed the world clean. He told her about music that could make people cry or dance without reason, and about human traditions that celebrated life in small, messy ways. Lyra listened intently, her violet eyes wide, absorbing every detail. She asked questions that revealed not only curiosity, but a deep desire to understand him. "You speak of your world as though it is alive," she said one evening, her voice soft. "I see it now through your eyes. I feel it." Her hand brushed against his arm, accidental or intentional he could not tell, and a warmth surged through him. He realized that her presence was more than comforting, it was magnetic, drawing him in ways he did not fully understand. Lyra showed him wonders of her own world. She led him to rivers that sparkled like liquid crystal, forests where the leaves hummed when touched, and fields of flowers that glowed brighter when humans walked among them. She moved with grace and confidence, her curiosity endless. Jason could feel her life force, vibrant and irresistible, and it stirred a longing he had buried during months of solitude. At night, they sat together under the twin moons, their shoulders brushing as they watched the alien stars. Jason felt the ache of loneliness ease in a way he had never imagined. He wanted to reach for her hand, to close the distance, but he hesitated, unsure how to bridge the divide between human and alien, between the rational mind and the heart that raced at her every glance. "You are different," she said suddenly, her voice almost a whisper. "Humans are rare here in the stars, and yet you carry something beautiful inside you. You have heart, courage, and longing. I see it. I feel it." That night, Jason understood that he had found something far greater than companionship. He had found life, love, and belonging all in the form of a violet-eyed alien girl, who had awakened him to the beauty of being truly alive. The days that followed were filled with quiet wonder. Jason and Lyra moved through the alien forests together, exploring glowing rivers, crystal-like plants, and meadows that shimmered under the twin suns. Each day, he learned more about her world, and she learned more about him. Every touch, every glance, every shared laugh deepened the bond between them. For Jason, the loneliness that had defined months of space travel was fading, replaced by the warmth and intensity of connection. Yet, a shadow lingered over their happiness. Jason could not ignore the pull of his duty. The Elysium awaited his reports, his discoveries, and eventually, his return to human space. The thought of leaving Lyra behind made his chest ache in ways he had not anticipated. Every glance at her shimmering violet eyes reminded him that life, love, and desire were no longer distant fantasies. They were real, fragile, and terrifyingly beautiful. One evening, as they rested on a glowing hilltop under the twin moons, Lyra noticed his unease. She took his hand gently, feeling the tension in his fingers. "Jason," she said softly, "you feel it too, don't you? The pull between us and your world. It weighs on you." Jason nodded, unable to find words at first. Finally he whispered, "I cannot stay forever. My people, my duties, they need me, and yet, leaving you feels impossible. I've been lonely for so long, and you make me feel alive again. But I cannot ignore the life I left behind." Lyra squeezed his hand, her violet eyes shining with both understanding and sadness. "And I," she said softly, "cannot leave this world. This is where I belong, but my heart, it has found you, Jason. It has always been waiting for you, even before you arrived. Perhaps we are meant to share moments, even if the distance cannot be erased." Jason felt a lump in his throat. Her words were not a solution, yet they were a comfort. They were acknowledgement that what they shared was real, precious, and worth cherishing, even if it could not last forever. He pulled her close, feeling her warmth against him, and held her for a long moment, as if trying to memorize every detail of her presence. "I will not forget you," he whispered. "No matter the distance, no matter the years, I will carry you with me." "And I you," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "Even if you return to the stars, even if your duties take you far from me, you will always be a part of me." The next morning, Jason prepared to leave the planet. Lyra walked with him to the landing pod, her hand brushing against his arm one last time. Neither spoke much. Words felt insufficient for the emotions swirling between them. Their eyes met, and in that gaze was everything they could not say. Desire, longing, hope, and a promise of reunion. As the pod lifted off, Jason turned to look at her, his heart heavy but full. Lyra stood on the glowing moss, watching him go, her figure bathed in the soft alien light. He realized that this separation, though painful, was not an ending. It was a pause, a moment of trust and understanding, a recognition that their connection transcended distance and duty. As the planet shrank beneath him, Jason felt a quiet strength rise within him. The loneliness that had once defined his existence no longer had power over him. He had known warmth, beauty, and intimacy, and he carried it with him, a light in the vast darkness of space. And somewhere, on that glowing alien world, Lyra whispered to the stars, sending her energy and longing into the universe. She had found someone worth waiting for, someone whose heart resonated with hers across impossible distances. Their story was not over, it had simply taken on a new chapter, one that promised hope, connection, and the courage to feel deeply, despite the odds. For Jason, the stars no longer felt cold. For Lyra, the night sky no longer felt empty. They had discovered what it truly meant to connect, to belong, and to love, if only for a while, if only across the distance of worlds. Years passed in the vastness of space, yet Jason never forgot Lyra. Every mission, every distant star, every lonely corridor aboard the Elysium reminded him of her violet eyes, her laughter, and the way she had made him feel alive again. The loneliness that once weighed so heavily on him now carried a different meaning. It was tempered by memory, by love, and by the knowledge that connection could exist across worlds. He returned to human space countless times, reporting discoveries, mapping uncharted planets, and sharing the wonders of the universe. Yet, despite the accolades and the accomplishments, his heart remained tethered to that small, glowing planet, to the girl who had awakened something he had long thought lost. He often gazed at the stars at night, imagining her there, watching the same constellations, feeling the same pull of longing and hope. Finally, after years of preparation, Jason returned to the coordinates where he had first found her. His heart raced as the Elysium descended through the alien atmosphere. The glowing forests, sparkling rivers, and bioluminescent meadows appeared exactly as he remembered, almost frozen in time. And there she was. Lyra stood in the clearing, radiant as ever, her violet eyes wide with recognition and joy. "Jason!" she called, her voice carrying across the soft hum of the forest. She ran toward him, her movements as graceful and fluid as the first time he had seen her. Jason felt tears prick his eyes as he stepped out of the pod, closing the distance between them in a few long strides. He caught her in his arms, holding her tightly, as if letting go for even a moment would be unbearable. She rested her head against his shoulder, her laughter mingling with his sighs of relief. For years they had imagined this reunion, had longed for it across the void of space, and now it was real, tangible, and more beautiful than either could have expected. "I never stopped thinking of you," Jason whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Every star, every world. I carried you with me." "And I," Lyra replied, her fingers tracing gentle patterns along his arm, "waited for you. Every day, every night. I knew you would come back. I never doubted it." They walked together through the familiar glowing meadows, hands intertwined, sharing stories of the years apart. Jason told her of human colonies, of planets they had discovered, and of the endless skies he had traversed. Lyra listened with fascination, her eyes bright, but she also told him of her world, the growth of forests, the changes in rivers, the life that had continued while he was away. Despite the time apart, nothing had changed between them. The bond they had formed, the spark that had ignited on that first night under the twin moons, was stronger than ever. It was no longer just desire or curiosity. It was trust, understanding, and the deep knowledge that they were meant to find each other, even across the vast distances of the universe. As night fell, the twin moons cast their silver glow across the alien forest. Jason and Lyra sat together on a hilltop, wrapped in each other's arms, hearts beating in quiet harmony. The universe stretched endlessly around them, full of stars, mysteries, and possibilities, but for the first time, it felt intimate, warm, and alive. "I have learned something," Jason said softly, looking into her eyes. "That life is not just about survival, or duty, or even discovery. Life is about connection. About finding someone who makes the universe feel like home." Lyra smiled, her hand brushing his cheek. "And I have learned that love knows no bounds, not species, not time. We have found each other, Jason. That is enough. That is everything." Under the glowing moons and the sparkling alien sky, they shared a quiet, profound kiss. It was not hurried, not frantic. It was a promise, a celebration of reunion, and an acknowledgement of the depth of what they had found. The stars no longer felt distant. The void of space no longer felt empty. Jason and Lyra had discovered what it meant to truly belong to each other, to life, and to the universe itself. And in that moment, nothing else mattered but the warmth of their hands, the spark in their eyes, and the infinite possibility of their shared future. Jason swallowed hard, realizing that the same longing lived in him too. He wanted to reach for her, to feel the warmth of life pressed against his own. But beyond desire, there was a deeper connection forming a bond of trust, of understanding, of two lonely souls finding each other across the void. "Lyra," he said softly, "I've been alone for so long. I never thought I'd meet someone like you. Someone who understands, who listens, who makes me feel alive again." Her eyes glimmered with a light that seemed almost like fire. "And I," she admitted, "have waited for someone to see me, not just as I am, but as I could be with them. You make the world feel larger, brighter. I never thought I would feel this." For the first time, Jason felt completely unguarded. The loneliness, the isolation, the endless emptiness of space, they all melted away in the presence of this being who radiated life, energy, and something far more intimate than he could name. She was not just beautiful. She was alive in every sense, and she had chosen, in some mysterious way, to connect with him. That night, as they sat under the glowing moons, the air between them was charged with a quiet intensity. It was not just attraction, it was recognition. Two beings from entirely different worlds had found in each other a mirror of their own longing, a shared heartbeat in the vastness of the cosmos. Jason realized that this connection, fragile yet powerful, was something he had searched for all his life, and now that it was here, he could not imagine letting it go. And in Lyra's gaze, full of wonder and life, he understood that she felt the same. The days on the alien planet were magical. Yet Jason felt a growing weight in his chest. Every moment with Lyra filled him with warmth, yet a gnawing sense of duty reminded him of the life he had left behind. The Elysium needed him. Human colonies depended on his reports and discoveries. If he stayed too long, he risked leaving others waiting, wondering, and perhaps suffering. But leaving Lyra felt impossible. She was unlike anyone he had ever met alive, radiant, full of energy and curiosity, and yet so gentle and understanding. Her very presence had become a source of comfort and longing he couldn't ignore. Alone on the ship, surrounded by blinking consoles and the cold hum of machines, he realized how stark the emptiness would feel without her. He had not expected to find companionship on this distant planet, yet here it was blindingly real. Almost cruel in its intensity, Lyra noticed the unease in him, one evening as they watched the twin moons rise over a glowing river. "Why do you look so troubled, Jason?" she asked softly. Her fingers brushed against his arm, and a shiver ran through him. He began, struggling to find words. "I have duties, responsibilities. I cannot stay here forever. My people, my world. They need me." His voice cracked slightly. He had spent months yearning for someone, for connection, and now that it was here, he feared losing it. Lyra's gaze softened, yet there was a subtle tension in her violet eyes. "And yet you feel torn," she said. "You want to be here with me. And yet you feel the pull of another world." "I understand." Jason nodded, feeling the weight of her understanding like a comforting, yet painful, embrace. He wanted to explain, to tell her that he had never felt a connection like this, that she had awakened something inside him he didn't even know existed. But words felt insufficient. She moved closer, her presence magnetic. "I have energy, desire, curiosity. Feelings that are hard to contain," Lyra admitted, her voice soft, almost a whisper. "And you have a heart that calls to me. Yet we are from different worlds, Jason. And yet..." She trailed off, letting the unspoken words hang between them. Jason felt the tension building inside him, the longing and the fear colliding. He had spent months alone in the void of space, searching for meaning, searching for warmth. And now he had found it, here, in her. Yet he could not abandon his responsibilities. The conflict was not violent. It was emotional, spiritual, and profound, a battle between duty and desire, between obligation and the pull of the heart. "I don't want to leave you," he whispered finally. "But I cannot ignore who I am, or what I am responsible for." And yet, he stopped, unable to finish. His hands trembled slightly, betraying the storm of emotion he felt. Lyra reached out, taking both his hands in hers. "Jason," she said softly, "I do not want to lose you either. I have waited for life to touch me like this. And now it has. Perhaps our connection is stronger than distance or duty. Perhaps it is meant to be tested, to grow, and to survive." Her words struck him deeply. They were not a solution, but they were a bridge. They were a recognition that their bond, fragile yet powerful, was real. That no matter the distance, the responsibilities, or the uncertainties, there was something between them that demanded attention, care, and courage. That night, Jason lay beneath the glowing moon, staring at the stars, wrestling with the tension in his heart. Loneliness had brought him here, but love connection had made the stars brighter, more alive, and far more complicated. He realized that the next steps would not be easy, but for the first time, he understood what he truly wanted. Not just survival, not just duty, but connection, intimacy, and the courage to feel again. And somewhere in the alien forest, Lyra felt the same pull, the same storm of longing and uncertainty. Two worlds apart, yet hearts beating in sync, struggling against the tides of reality, and yet ready to fight, not with weapons, but with emotion, understanding, and trust. The twin moons cast a soft silver light across the alien forest as Jason and Lyra walked together. The glow of the plants reflected off her skin, making her shimmer like the stars above. Jason could not stop staring. Every movement, every glance, every smile from her seemed to pull at something deep inside him. Something he had almost forgotten existed. Desire, warmth, hope, and the longing for connection. They came to a quiet clearing where the ground was soft and moss-like, glowing faintly with bioluminescent light. Jason stopped, suddenly aware of how close they were, their shoulders brushing lightly as they walked. He could feel the pulse of life emanating from her, a vibrant energy that seemed almost magnetic. For months, he had wandered alone through the cold emptiness of space. But here, standing beside Lyra, he realized that loneliness could be replaced by something infinitely more powerful: connection. Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes reflecting the twin moons. "Jason," she whispered, I have felt something since the first moment you stepped onto this planet. Something I cannot explain, yet I know it is real. Her hand reached out and rested gently on his arm. The touch sent a shiver down his spine. It was gentle, yet it spoke of a fire burning beneath the surface. A fire of life, curiosity, and yearning. Jason took a deep breath, struggling to find words. I have been alone for so long, he admitted, his voice trembling slightly. I never imagined I could feel this. Being with you, it's more than I thought possible. I feel alive again, in ways I had forgotten. And it scares me. Lyra smiled softly, her eyes shining with understanding. It should scare you, she said, because it is real. What we feel is real. And real is always worth feeling. She stepped closer, and for the first time, Jason let himself notice the subtle heat of her presence, the intoxicating energy she radiated. It was not just beauty, it was life itself, vibrant and alive, drawing him in irresistibly. They sat down together on the soft moss, the silence between them filled with unspoken words. Jason's hand hovered near hers, and she leaned in slightly, letting their fingers brush. The touch was electric, sending warmth through him that spread to every corner of his being. They did not need words. The connection was immediate, profound, and undeniable. I never thought I would meet someone like you, Jason whispered. Someone who makes me feel human again. And I, Lyra replied softly, have waited for someone to see me, to understand me, and to share life with me. You make the world feel larger, brighter, more alive. You are everything I did not know I needed. For a long moment, they sat in quiet awe of each other, the hum of the forest around them blending with the rhythm of their own hearts. The pull between them was undeniable, not just desire, but trust, curiosity, and the intimate recognition of two souls finding each other across the vast emptiness of space. Jason felt his fears, his loneliness, and even the weight of duty melt in the presence of this moment. Lyra leaned her head against his shoulder, and Jason wrapped his arm around her gently. The closeness, the warmth, the shared heartbeat of two beings from entirely different worlds. It was overwhelming in the most beautiful way. He realized that love, connection, and desire were not threats or distractions. They were the very essence of life. Under the glowing moons, in the soft embrace of the alien forest, Jason allowed himself to feel fully, without hesitation, without fear, without reservation. He had found life, warmth, and passion in a place he had least expected. And Lyra had found the same in him. Two worlds, two beings, one moment that changed everything. The stars above seemed closer, the air warmer, and the universe itself a little less lonely. In each other's arms, they discovered not just desire, but hope, intimacy, and the infinite possibility of connection.